Welcome to Contractor Cuts, where we cover the good, the bad, and the ugly of growing a successful contracting company.
Welcome back to Contractor Cuts. My name is Clark Turner.
And I'm James McConnell.
Thank you guys for joining us this week. So today we are talking about a really fun topic, but I think probably one of the most important topics that I end up getting into a lot with guys in coaching that they don't realize is coming. And it always ends up being a really good thing that we talk through, which is if you've got a spouse, if you've got a girlfriend, if you've got children, if you've got people in your life that you care about, how is their life being affected by your decisions in this company? I think we're going to dive deep into the work-life balance, and that's a kind of one of those sayings that people use all the time. But I think the goal of this is, what are you sacrificing and who is sacrificing because you're trying to build this company? And if you're listening to this, thinking of starting your own or just starting, take this as, hey, I will need to make sure I'm setting my path the right way. If you've been doing this for a long time and your marriage is struggling, take this and listen to it and try to implement some stuff in terms of how you can press into it. I think one of the things that a lot of guys miss, including myself in this industry, is that we confuse the end goal and the journey, right? It's once we get there, then, right? And I think I've said this, one of the things that my wife and I have fought about in years past is I'm always like, we're in a season, once I get X, I'll be able to relax and be here more. Once we get this spot, we'll be good. Once I actually, I need 2 more hires, and then I can kind of sit back and we can go on vacations and relax and I'll be here more. And there's always, yeah, but next season. Yes, okay, I make those 2 hires. Yeah, but I got to fire this guy. Like, okay, I just can't. I'm going to keep grinding. Give me 6 more months. To where it's always these moving goalposts in our relationship that I'm constantly just pushing further and further and further out of. I just got to burn the candle at both ends now. Then we'll be able to relax, right? And so today we're talking about that. We're talking about how to identify that, how to avoid that, and how to step out of that dance if you're in the middle of it. Because the end goal, the why of why you're doing this is usually and should be your family, right? Like most people aren't starting construction companies or kind of backing into this industry and working in this industry just for fun. The end goal of this is financial freedom, is stability for my family, time spent with my kids, being an active father and an active husband, not just someone that pays the bills for them. And so that's what we're diving into today. Fun topic, light topic.
This is so lighthearted.
James, I think we have 2 different paths that we started on and we ended up at a very similar spot, right? I started a construction company at 24 and have continued through my 40s. You came in working for companies, trying to work your way up in them, and though you had the same work ethic as an owner, that's why you got to where you're at, right? You weren't just putting in the minimum, you have always. I'd love to hear from your perspective on being an employee at a construction company and then the transition into ownership and starting companies and then adding your first child into that. And then continuing from there, like
that's pretty personal.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's pull up pictures of your kid and your wife, and let's I'd love to hear a little bit, that journey from the grind as an employee versus the grind as an owner, right? You have the same number of hours in a week. You honestly, like as an employee, you had some heavy responsibilities that you ended up getting into as you moved up with us and into kind of the upper management and then stepping into ownership. Did you feel a difference in those 2 things? Did you feel that? Do you feel like in the beginning, in your 20s, in early marriage, you were grinding and more company committed, or was it like that was my job and I come home and I'm doing it? Like, tell me about that, like your early work years.
Well, I wanted out of construction by the time I came and interviewed with you.
Yeah.
I'd been was doing a lot of labor, and then I was selling roofs for like 1 month, which was terrible. And then I was working for this commercial company.
You got married when you were at the commercial company, right? Like 2 to 3 years before ProServe?
Yeah, like 2 to 3 years
Okay.
before. So I was. I don't honestly. I like working. I like hard work, and it was never a. I until recently, like maybe the past 2-3 years, I didn't really generate an off switch, and that was really fine initially because there's when you're starting with a company and you kind of are wired like that, there is constant, oh, here's like a new responsibility because we see that you can do that. Here's a new responsibility. And somebody wired like that is like, awesome, perfect. Yes, I'm being recognized for like doing it, and I'll take any of that I can get. Give me more responsibility. Give me this, give me that. And so it wasn't like I'm done with work, so I'm turning the switch off. It was like, I'm done with work, but what else can I do to show that I'm still in this, that I'm in the game?
Yeah.
And I think for a long while, there's like a lot of novelty to that. And so that's what keeps me engaged is novelty.
Yeah.
And so it really, like, until I started getting people under me, it was pretty easy for me to see like what I needed to be doing.
Yeah.
Once people started, once
You
I
had
had
full
to,
control of your plate.
yes,
Yeah.
and like, well, I mean, there's crews and stuff, but like at the end of the day, I can like go out, be on site, make sure that I address the things. If not,
And any issues that you had to deal with, you had full control of causing the issue, so you felt full responsibility in dealing with the issue.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally. So, and that again, for my emotional personality, that's like really, I really like that.
Yeah.
Even if it's bad, I like knowing where the blame should be.
Yeah.
Like that feels good in some
Yeah.
way.
No.
So it wasn't really until people started coming under me that it was more heady. Like, oh, I've got to like, I need space not to be doing anything, but just to kind of think through some of this stuff. And so getting out of the field and spending more time in kind of the ether is, I think, where that the type of stress you're talking about that, can hurt relationships really started to become problematic for me.
Yeah.
And to the point where I can't remember when it was, but there was one night, and this is when I was living in the apartments in Woodstock. There was one, I couldn't sleep. It wasn't abnormal for me to like get up and get out of the house by like 5:30, 6 o'clock. But this one morning I couldn't fall asleep, and I left at like 3:30 to just head to the office because like there's no point in me doing anything right now. Like I can't sleep.
Yeah.
And my wife calls me at like 4, like right as I'm pulling up to the office. She's like, "Where are you?" And I was like, "I'm at work." And she's like, "That's a problem." And I was like, I couldn't sleep. There's nothing. She's like, "That's a problem."
Yeah.
So like,
I remember that.
I don't even know what all was going on. It was in the mix of like different office personnel, project managers.
Yeah.
Everything just seemed to not be jiving.
Yeah.
And it was like the only thing I can think to do is work.
Yeah. Well, and it was the first time not first time, but it was the first season for you of having other people, being responsible for other people, to where I think you carried heavier than anyone else I've seen the responsibility of helping and taking care of other people, which is a great thing. But also you carried too much of that weight. and that's just your personality. And that was something that I think we worked through together in terms of like, because I'm the opposite of that. I'm like, I did my part, sucks for them, right? And you're like, I did my part. I can't believe they did that. I need to go fix it, right? And so then all like, you went from a space of I have 5 things on my plate, I got rid of them. 2 issues came up, it came on my plate, I handled it. To where you flipped it to where I have 2 things on my plate, I got rid of them. All of a sudden, 5 things went wrong, and now those are all on my plate, which is like now I just cleared my plate. I just got it all done, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that is the stress that, again, this isn't necessarily marriage, but it was what led to stress in your marriage, right? It was it went from controllable to where you can turn it off because you knew exactly where everything was, to uncontrolled. All of a sudden you're at dinner with your wife and you get a text message from a client that's like, there's people smoking weed in our house, right? There's stuff where it's like, who, what, where, like what? And now instead of sitting at dinner, you're outside on the phone trying to solve problems because other people made stupid mistakes.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that was a big transition for you.
Yeah. And it's more like, I don't think I'll ever be in a place where stuff doesn't, like just coming in here today, multiple texts and emails that I'm like, that are just on me now.
Yep.
And I can deal with it much better than I used to, but it's
a chain around your neck until it's gone.
Yeah, like I need some type of resolution, at least knowing that there's something moving towards resolution.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, I don't know. I think that's just the hardest part for me of this whole company ownership type thing.
Yeah.
Is feeling like there's not anybody else that's going to move this in the direction towards resolution, because that's what it always feels like. It's just like you are resolving whatever is not resolved.
Yeah.
And there's always a million things to resolve. If it's not something that is pressing like a client issue, there's insurance stuff and making sure everybody has their paperwork and making sure that when you do your quarterly reconciliations that everyone is up to date.
Yeah.
And it's like there's always something to be doing.
Did you file that paperwork that you had no clue was supposed to be filed with the state back in January?
Yeah, no.
What? Yeah.
What paperwork?
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm on a trail. I've lost the beginning and I don't know where we're going right now.
So, well, I think what we're trying to cover too is like the stress of being an employee in your 20s and how did that affect your marriage versus you're now in a totally different season with a child that you've had for a while now,
18 months,
year and a half. And so you've kind of transitioned into, it's not just I'm sorry to my wife, but now I'm affecting the livelihood and the experience and the forever emotions of a human.
Yeah.
When let's start in the beginning though, like you're talking about like that transition when you were just married but taking on more responsibility, moving up in the company. How did that affect your marriage? And if it didn't, that's okay. Like where was your marriage suffering from those times, and what did you do about it? And what should have you done if you could rewrite some of the 4 a.m. going into the office and your wife waking up by herself?
Yeah.
What would have you done differently in those stages?
I think that's a good note because I think you got me back on the track here. Through counseling, through conversations with my wife, with my family, I think I've come to an understanding that I should have known a long time ago, but I'm very performance based.
Yeah.
And the early stuff, when you're not an employer and you're an employee, there is or should be constant recognition of the positive things that you're doing, and then a redirection of the things that you could be improving on. And for whatever part of my performance in life is receiving criticism well, even though no one likes criticism.
Yeah.
But if you're performance based, you need to be able to understand and recognize when obviously everyone has things that they can improve on, so why shouldn't I be any different? You should take everything that is said to you by people that you trust as, there's got to be some truth in here.
Yeah.
How do I change? But when you become the employer and you're running your stuff, there's very little of that, if any.
Yeah.
There's not your wife can tell you, oh, you're doing great, and how are things? And it just doesn't. It's not the same as having somebody be like, hey, here's what you need to be doing better, or hey, this is really positive. Let's focus more on this, because you just don't feel like that person really understands what you're really talking about.
And an employee looks at you and says, oh, this is just who he is. I'm not like, employees don't give feedback like coworkers do, or like a boss. Like an employee that's underneath you, if you are not giving them the support they want, that's a character flaw in you, in their mind. Like that's just who James is. So I'm not gonna, like he just is a sucky boss. So I'm not gonna. And so you have like this smiley face when you meet with the guy, and then fast forward 6 months and he quits, and he's like, well, I quit because you just are a terrible boss. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
That was like, when did we talk? Like, I didn't even know that. That's new news to me. Like, and I think that, not that anyone was like, you're a terrible boss, but like there were some guys that left that we won't name that had issues with you. And that drove you nuts, because it's like, I didn't even know, and I did everything, and I did this for you, and I did this, and that's not fair, and that's not and anyways, I think getting off track again, but getting back onto it, how does that manifest in your personal life? Like how, with that level of stress that kind of ticked up when you started transitioning into upper management, how did that show itself in your personal life, in your marriage, in your relationships, and what do you think you did wrong, and what do you think you did right?
Wrong. What I did wrong was I wasn't being introspective enough about what I wanted out of the journey.
Yeah.
And it was just more based on what came in front of me.
Yeah.
And how could I take that and do whatever with it. I didn't spend much time thinking about the direction that I wanted to be going and what would be fulfilling for me personally. And not that that is everything, but in some respects it is. Like I do think that I think I used to believe that it's more important to be working with people that that you enjoy and that like you feel like the people around you are bringing life to what you're doing.
Yeah. I
don't think that as much anymore. I think that it is really important that you feel connected to the work that you're doing, because when I don't feel a connection to work, when I don't feel like what I'm doing is important, F it.
Yeah.
Like it's not bringing life, and in fact, it's just sucking life out of me. And that was the apartment when we were there.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, that was just all life-taking time.
Do you identify that first, or does your wife identify it first? Like when that stuff happens, when you get to that place, is she raising a flag saying, "Hey, you're absent. You're not here with me when you're sitting here with me,"
mm-hmm.
Or is it you feeling it though because you're still can perform and be here, so you're feeling in the background?
Yeah, it's the background. It's I think probably most guys that have partners or whatever deal with this, and it's not allowing your spouse into the pain and into the struggle because you want to protect them from feeling your energy.
Yeah.
And that's probably the biggest mistake.
Yeah.
Because my wife is very capable, very strong, has great advice, has great insights, and I kept her from being able to be part of the solving of some of my struggles.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is based in the performance, because like you have to, you need to be able, you need to be able to shut the door on something and like know that you can pick that up tomorrow, that you're not going to solve this issue, that this is a work thing and it's not a life thing.
Yeah.
And you need to shut the door, and then tomorrow you can open the door again and begin dealing with it again. But it's not a life thing.
Yeah.
You need to let that thing go for a couple hours and have your life.
Well, I think also, great point. What you just said is, there's a lot of guys say, "Hey, I don't want to bring work home with me, so I'm not going to talk about it here." When in fact, they brought it home with them, and talking about it will let them release it.
Yeah.
Right? Like my wife, sometimes, but when I bring it and when I don't bring it home with me, quote unquote, because I'm just not going to tell my wife how I'm about to tears on a job site earlier today, because I was just screaming at this crew that just absolutely screwed me, right? Whatever it is. And I get home like, "Hey, babe, how was your day?" Right? And I just don't want to deal with it and don't want to talk about it. I'm still bringing it home because I'm sitting on the couch with her watching a show, just in a different world thinking about it. I'm not engaging. I'm not looking at her. We're not having a conversation. I'm just thinking through what happened today. I'm so pissed off, but I don't want to talk about it. I want to leave work at work.
Yeah.
And it's like, you did it.
You did.
You brought it home. And
it's here. It's the other girlfriend on the couch.
Yes. And so the whole like, oh, I don't want to burden her with this. That's not burdening her.
You are burdening her with this by just sitting there brooding.
Yes, and you're making it happen.
What's wrong? Nothing.
Yep. It's amazing because most males are fixers. I want to fix it. You give me a problem, I'm going to tell you a way to solve it. And most females, again, not all on either side, are, hey, let's hear it. I just want to connect and hear it, right? And so, if my wife tells me an issue that she's having at work, I'm telling her 7 ways to fix it. Well, what if you did this? How about you do this? And I don't want that, and she doesn't either, right? It's not my job to fix it. It's my job to listen. And I'll ask her that, right? I'll say, "Hey, is this you want my help fixing it, or you want me to listen to you?" Right? Mm. But vice versa, when I'm sitting there, I'm like, I don't need help with this. I'm just going to deal with it. She don't want to help me with it. She don't want to give me an answer. She just wants to hear what's going on in my world, right? Yeah. And so I think that's one of the big things in terms of, you're on an island in this industry, right? It's hard to do this by yourself. Even if you have a partner, it still feels isolating sometimes. Partner in business, it feels isolating sometimes. And it's one of those things of, how do you invite your wife into that conversation to where she's not carrying the burden, but she's there with you, holding your hand, being with you, understanding where you're at? Because that's emotional connection. That's being emotionally connected to them, is letting them know where you're at, even if it's stupid, even if it's bad. I'm pot calling kettle black. I'm terrible at this, and I've learned over the years. Hopefully, I'm better than I was 5 years ago, and 5 years ago was better than I was 10 years ago. But being able to have that discussion where I'm not just complaining about work, I'm not just complaining about people, but I'm telling her about my feelings. Like,
yeah.
God, it really just like. It really, I was disappointed in this guy, and honestly, like, it made me question if I'm even good at this, right? Like, if you can say that out loud to your wife, you're going to be taken care of usually. Like, it's going to change. Being able to verbalize stuff like that is going to change your dynamic with her, as well as your trust in her, trusting that she's going to give you the response that you need.
Yeah, I think for me, the thing that I kept finding was, and kind of why I stopped wanting to share, is she might ask me how I'm doing, but there's probably guys out there that can connect with this.
Yeah.
When I start talking about the thing, I pretty quickly emotionally
amp up,
get right back to that spot when it initially happened.
You do,
and so the conversation goes from, "How was your day?" It's like, "It was timing. This guy was here and this," and by the end of it, I'm like, well, what are we even doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
What does she do when you amp up? Does she have like a sign to calm you down?
No, it's like it's what do you do with that guy?
Yeah.
I'm right back in the moment. I'm with the person that has nothing to do with the situation.
And you're screaming at her about it.
And I'm screaming at her about it. And it's like that's what pulls you out is like you see this person that you're talking to and like the glaze falls off and they're looking at you like, okay.
That's big.
And you're like, sorry, I just went right back.
Yeah.
It was like Nam.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how. So anyway, that's like has been kind of the key for me is being asked the question, how's that going or how's your day? Having to sit with it and actually explain how I'm feeling, not what happened.
Yeah.
Not the details of the thing. Like those are so less important than like the big picture. I felt completely out of control about what's happening. I feel like I've been trying really hard. I've been working on myself to try and handle these situations better, and it just doesn't feel like I'm making progress.
Yeah.
And then that's when my wife jumps in and said, I need to tell you about some of the progress that I've seen.
Yeah.
And like hearing that from somebody on the outside, and almost every time I end up feeling better about the situation because she's bringing a perspective that I had forgotten, I've discounted because that's my job.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like kind of like the easy deferment for someone that's a performance person is like, you did this so well. That's my job. Like, you know, that's what I got to do. You know, that's my job, man. Hey, I'm just the fixer, you know, that's my deal.
I'm just amazing. And I got such a high bar for myself.
So did I answer that question?
No, that's good. No, that's good. That's good. You did. Yeah, we're focusing a lot on James on this one because next week my wife is coming on the podcast to talk about my problems. So it'll be great. It'll be fun. If she shows up, we'll see. She probably will take it 3 to 4 hours of all my issues. But anyways, I appreciate you sharing some of that stuff. Let's keep going. One of the biggest things that I see when I'm coaching guys, and I see this, I think if we're looking practical in your life, you know, in anyone who's running construction jobs and companies, the better their relationship is with their wife usually depends on when they're working on. What that means is, today, am I working on yesterday and today's problems? Or today, am I working on next week and the week after's problems? If I can be proactively working, setting up schedules, putting out next week's fires before they come up, organizing my jobs, I am then able to be more present at home. If I'm working on what happened yesterday and today, when tomorrow happens, I got 17 fires that pop up because I didn't think about it. I didn't do pre-construction walk with this client. I didn't do a selections workbook, and now my tile guy's standing there with no tile. I didn't start proactively working through my jobs ahead of time to where today, every single day, day over day for the last 3 years has been I'm dealing with today's fires that are 17 to 20 fires. And so, babe, I said I'd be home at 5. It's 8:30, and I probably won't get home till 10 because I've got to do all this stuff. Right? I think that is on a more basic but bigger picture where it starts. Right? With messing up your relationships at home, not being there for the kids' games, not being a present person at home, oftentimes is a systems problem. I don't organize my day and look forward to planning next week because I don't have fires today. So I'm gonna start laying out next week's progress of what's happening on my job sites. So then by next week, there's no fires, and what I plan to do, I can do, and I can go home at 5 because I'm done. So I think that's kind of small, basic, laying out systems to where we're not working for today, we're not working for yesterday, but we're working for the next 2 to 3 weeks, planning out, working ahead, having the time, having the space and capacity to write the estimates, to not be constantly just burning the candle at both ends. How do we get ahead of doing that? And I think that's one of the big things I see when guys come into coaching. That's what I'm trying to fix, number one. That's what we're working on I want to project out in the future what we're doing. If you're dealing with what's happening tomorrow, we're too late. We got to be dealing with what's happening next week. I think that's number one. I think a I remember a guy that was in coaching that came through here. I might have told the story before, but we one of our coaches was on a call with him while he was driving, and his wife leaned over and was like, "Hey, I don't know what you're doing, but like, I've never seen my husband this relaxing in my life. Like, I've never. Thank you. Like, it was a coaching call that he forgot about. He was in the car driving somewhere with his wife and had our coach on speakerphone, and she just like, I don't know what is happening at the work, but keep doing what you guys are doing because this guy is a different human at home. It's because he wasn't waking up at 4 a.m. to put out fires. He wasn't waking up at 12 o'clock saying, I didn't send that estimate. And he goes to his laptop at 12:30 a.m. to write up an estimate. But instead, it was organized. And the fires are still going to happen, but we're dealing with 2 to 3 fires, not 17 to 18 fires. So can we work ahead to try and keep us and our brains engaged at home because there's not fires popping up every single evening because tomorrow I didn't plan for. I think that's number one. I think that's a big one. I think one other thing that if we're trying to implement stuff today, right? If you're listening to this and saying, listen, I need to get my life together. I need to get my marriage better. I need to commit to do what I'm doing, what I commit to doing. I think the CEA that we have is the first step for you. I think if you lay out to a client before you get started your expectations of them and what they should expect out of you and lay out exactly, I think one of my favorite lines in the entire CEA is, these are our work hours. I'm here 8:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. Call me anytime you want, text me anytime you want during those hours. I'm here for you. But this is a 3-month project for you, so it's super intense for the next 3 months. I've been doing this for 20 years, and I plan to continue doing it for the next 20 years. And so this is my day in and day out. So I can't work nights and weekends on your projects. I'm working 9 to 5. Nights and weekends are my family's. I need to recharge my battery so you have 100% of me during the week. So is that fair for me to ask? We keep most of our communication Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
Totally get it.
Totally get it. No, that makes sense. I love that you guys do that, right? I hear that all the time. Fast forward 3 weeks, clients calling you on Saturday. Hey, I'm thinking about what if we did this with the flooring? And it's like, hey,
think about it some more. Let's talk on Monday.
Send me an email. Remember, this is what we talked about. This is family time. If you could shoot me an email on Monday, I'll get to it when I sit down. And we tell clients that. We say, don't text, don't call, send an email over the weekend because I'm not going to be checking those till Monday morning. If your house is on fire, and my example I always use, if we are buying paint Monday morning and Sunday afternoon you change your mind on paint color, call me. That's okay. Don't make me buy $1,000 worth of paint that we're going to have to change. Send me a text, make sure we get that confirmed. Say, Clark, don't buy the paint tomorrow morning. That makes sense. If you're trying to figure out what color carpet you're doing in 3 weeks from now, send me an email. We'll talk Monday.
Yeah.
And every single time clients sit here and say, that's great. That makes so much sense. Have you ever had pushback on hours? No. Outside, I think we had one investor was like, I'm only in town on Saturdays. Can we meet then? And we talked to the project manager and was like, how do you feel about meeting him on Saturdays? If you don't want it, we'll say no to this job. Outside of that, I've never had pushback on that schedule.
Yeah. Because people know that that's reasonable.
Yes.
People understand in that moment.
Yes, before we start the
reasonable.
job, it's reasonable.
When it starts affecting their life, I can't sleep because I'm trying to think about what's happening next, and that's when they want to reach out to you.
Yep.
Then it's not in their head. And if you haven't had that conversation, you haven't set the boundaries, their understanding of contractors is that they'll be Johnny on the spot, ready to take your call. Morning, noon, night.
I am your concierge until this job is done. I am your 24/7.
How you say concierge?
How you say. So, I think that is having the number one, the CEA in place where we're talking about work hours and what's okay and what's not okay, and getting them to sign the agreement in writing that they've signed, that those are the times that they can contact me.
Yeah.
And then number two, how do we set up your processes to where you have office hours consistently? I want your Monday through Friday fairly consistent. What we do on Mondays is site visits. Tuesdays are office days. Wednesday, Thursdays are free, do stuff in the field. Friday's half day in the office. If we can get a set week like that to where there's a rhythm, now it changes weekly sometimes, but there's a rhythm to your weeks, then I'm not visiting a job site on Wednesday and then 2 more job sites on Thursday for estimates. And then Friday, I've got a full day packed, but I haven't thought about when I'm writing that estimate. Well, now I've got 3 estimates to write, and it's Saturday morning, and I'm choosing that over going to breakfast with my family. When there's a lot of those systems that we try to put in place when you come into the coaching program of, hey, when you schedule an estimate, we're putting 2 blocks on your calendar, 1 for the estimate and 1 to write it up.
Yeah.
Put 2 time blocks on your calendar for that period when you go on site.
And hey, maybe you're really good at compartmentalizing.
Yeah.
And you can say, oh, you know what? I've lost some time this week. Saturday morning, I'm going to wake up a little bit early. I'm going to get X, Y, and Z done. For some people, that's not really an option.
Yeah.
Like the working on that thing Saturday morning is going to kind of set the tone for the rest of your weekend.
Yep.
And maybe not the best idea. But like I can't say that some people would actually be like, I can set boundaries. I can work a little bit in the off hours. I can do some work at night because I'm really good with boundaries. I'm good with putting things down. I just know the things that I have to get done.
Yeah.
Great. You can make those decisions for your life.
Yeah.
For me, I kind of know how I'm built a little bit, and there's things that I can do now that I couldn't do 5 years ago in terms of compartmentalizing. But I'm still an emotionally reactive guy that can end up in a mood because of something that I'm not going to need to deal with until 3 days from now. But it has affected me now.
Also, putting on my consultant hat, with contractors, even if they can compartmentalize, even if they can do that really well, even if that's just their norm and they can kind of fit things in, that's great for you. There's no scalability in your company that way. You can't hire a PM and train him to work Saturday morning sometimes when he needs to, right? You got to have a systematic way that your company and your time runs that we can train someone on that can come in beside you and run jobs with you and in your company and be your project manager hire. If we don't have that schedule set up, how are you going to train them? Like, oh, we just do this whenever whenever you have space. Well, you got me till 5 and I'm going home. Like you're not paying me to work nights and weekends. I'm not doing that, man. And so all of a sudden that hire comes in and they're underperforming because they're not following how you do things, and how you do things you can't ask an employee to do because you are burning the candle at both ends as an owner.
Yeah.
Right. And so like if you're trying to scale this company and grow it beyond just yourself, this is minimum stuff you got to get in place before bringing someone on, much less to save your marriage and family and free time and sanity. I think that's a big one. I think the other thing I would suggest doing too, if this is hitting home, is like, I don't spend enough time with my family. Great. This week we're gonna have a block. For us, my girls dance Monday through Thursday and on Saturday. So we have Friday and Sundays off. So for us, Friday night's my family night. Period. If you try to call me after about 4:30 on a Friday, you will not get me, I promise.
Period.
That's just what we do. We do, either Friday nights we do that. Saturday after dance, we usually do homemade pizzas. Like we've got our set stuff that we do as a family, and you're not getting that. Like there's nothing you can do to get a hold of me in those times. Honor that. Do that. And here's the worst part that I remember from back in the day when I was trying to grow my company. I would be doing something with Esther, my wife, and I would be not mad that I was there at the movies, but I'd be like, I really wish I was at the office. I got so much. And you just got to shove that down and ignore it, because that is where once you start engaging and enjoying those moments, that is the most important. And you mentioned this in passing a second or earlier in this podcast, but if that is you, if you can't quit work, if you can't enjoy your wife, enjoy being a father, enjoy life in general, and all we do is grind at work, go see a therapist. Like there is no better thing you can do for your company than to get healthy mentally, to see a therapist, because that will end you. That will burn you out. You're not Mark Cuban. You're not someone that's going to build a
I bet Mark Cuban sees a counselor.
I bet he does too. But I'm saying, like, don't be like,
I'm not fighting you. I'm not fighting you. I'm just throwing in there. It's for the podcast.
Perfect. Thank you. No, that's good. You're not going to be a billionaire. Like, it's not like rise and grind mindset. We're just gonna, or that guy that's like, my first day is from 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. and my second day is from 8 a.m. to noon. And it's like, cool, and that's gonna burn people out, and that's not real. Like, that's not reality. You're not going to have healthy or happy relationships if that's how you live your life permanently.
You know what I've also heard on separate. One of them was when we went to Michigan, and the guy was talking about, but when I'm with my kids, I'm with them. I put my phone down, and I'm like right there with them. And I've heard somebody else talk about it like that, and it's like, great, but it's not. You're not going to build the relationships you want with the most important people in your life by just giving them the weekend.
Yeah.
What about their day at school? What about your kid's day at school that day?
Yeah.
And what about your wife's day or week with the kids? There's all sorts of things. Like, you need to be present for life, and it doesn't just happen on the weekends.
Yeah. Your wife and kids aren't an appointment.
Yeah.
Your job is the appointment. Like, it isn't like we'll fit that in on Thursday the 11th and we'll do, like, no, that's you've got it flipped around. I think one point of this too is, like, there is a spot to where you look back and say, man, I've done it wrong. Mm-hmm. Man, do that often. Look back often, and look back at what your relationship looks like. A lot of guys bury their head in work because they don't like their wife. They don't like being at home. Okay, so don't deal with that. Go see a therapist. Go to the couples therapy. Go figure out why you don't like being at home.
Because you probably don't like yourself at home.
Yeah, for real. So I think that's, like, start flipping that around. I think, like I said in the beginning of this, my problem was always, it's, babe, give me 6 months, and babe, and by next year I should be here, and so we'll be able to. Enjoy it today. Plan a vacation today. Like, it's not we're going to get to this season then, because it doesn't get easier. Growing a company gets harder and is more demanding, and more people you hire, the more people demand your time. And so it's not going to get any easier than it is today, even if maybe I'll have more money next year. Who cares? Like, you don't need to go to the Bahamas for a vacation. Stay in town. Have a staycation at your own home. Like, just take time off, be with your family, invest in those relationships. It is something that absolutely you have to do. If you feel like you're hamstrung with your job, if you feel like I have to do this, we'll do that next week. Give me a call and I will walk you through it. I will help you identify from the outside when we can find space and how we got to organize this differently. That will be a free call. Like, I'm not trying to sell coaching on that. I would love to help you with that. But what we need to do is realize why we started these companies, why we're doing what we're doing, and what are the actual priorities in our life, and make sure that those are what we're striving for today, not when I get there, then I'll do that. Right? Anything to add?
No.
All right. Well, next week we're talking with my wife about all of my flaws, which will be fun. In the following week, I've got your therapist coming in, so we'll talk.
Well, Phil's got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I can't wait to meet him.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate you opening up about your personal life on this. I think it's super helpful. But yeah, keep doing what you're doing. You're a good dad.
Oh, my daughter has a broken leg right now, so
I saw that. I told her not to backtalk you, but at 18 months,
you got to learn young.
What happened for real?
We were going up the stairs to go to bed, and she's climbing the stairs, and then like stops, turns around, and wants to come down. So she's coming down. She can walk, and she's kind of learning. She's like holding the railing, and just kind of slips on the step to the landing. So it's not even a big fall.
Yeah.
And I catch her, but her left foot plants before I catch her, and she got what they call a toddler's fracture.
Oh.
And you can't even see it on an x-ray, so I don't know if it's real. But she has a full leg cast.
Oh,
she just learned how to walk, and now she is hobbled, and she can't walk. So it's like...
Is he frustrated with it?
She was initially. I think I'm projecting more on her, because the thought...
Now you got to carry her everywhere?
Well, it's that, like, we went from her walking
Yeah.
and being independent to like needing to
Immobile
be carried
again.
everywhere again.
Yeah.
But when I think about myself, like if I'm in a full leg cast and I'm hampered, I'm like, I can't think of a worse thing for me than to be like immobile
Yeah.
or like hampered in that way. And I'm like, oh, that would suck. Oh, that would suck.
Man.
So I'm more frustrated than her.
Poor girl. Well, hope she gets better soon.
She will.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening, and we will talk to you next week.
Bye.